Kevin was tasked by his boss to help locate and clear out snake pits in the Amazon rainforest. He was no stranger to snakes, but the pit that he encountered here had some ominous vibes surrounding it. He knew this wasn't going to be a regular day of work. This was confirmed when he tried to go down, and the snakes grew more aggressive. He got the feeling that they were protecting something on the bottom. Kevin decided to not go immediately down to the bottom. This would probably lead to some very nasty injuries. He instead chose for the slow approach. He tried to locate whatever it was that the snakes were protecting. There was one thing that stood out. The snakes seemed to group around the center of the pit. There was something important down there. Kevin had once heard of a local legend, but he dismissed the thought quickly. They had to sedate the snakes to get down there. So he called for backup. Backup quickly arrived. They came to help Kevin to ascend down the pit. He got some protective gear from his fellow workers, and with sedative darts they managed to sedate most of the snakes. When Kevin finally got down there, everybody's jaw dropped to the floor. How was this possible? But what had Kevin found on the bottom of the snake pit? Why was everyone so shocked at what they had encountered? For a couple of months now, Kevin had been scouring the rainforest for snake pits in the Amazon. He and his colleagues have been working hard to make sure the rainforest is a safe place for everyone to go to. But it has not been easy. It has been a slow and difficult process to track down all the pits. Some of them are very well hidden. Due to the lack of available roads and constant dangers of the rainforest, it has become even more difficult. They're way behind schedule. Some of the locals are even threatening the company. They worship the snakes and want to leave the pits intact. Kevin's company has been hired by the government, so they had no choice but to continue. The authorities gave them an ultimatum until the end of the month, or no one would be paid. Kevin decided that he would split up from his team to find the snake pits by himself. This turned out to be the biggest mistake of his life. When Kevin was clearing a path, he suddenly jumped back. He knew he had to continue, but he had no backup or real plan. What he had seen was a giant anaconda, not just a regular one. The biggest he had ever seen. It was slowly making his way towards Kevin. His first instinct was to run. But the anaconda blocked his way back. Kevin decided to make a run for it, further inside the rainforest. The anaconda followed him at a rapid pace. Kevin's heart was beating inside of his chest. He did not know if he was going to make it out of here alive. The anaconda was gaining on him, and he knew if this snake caught up to him, he did not take a chance. Then something strange happened. Out of nowhere, the anaconda stopped chasing Kevin. At that same time, Kevin got a strange feeling. It gave him goosebumps. It was like he did not belong here. He entered a part of the rainforest that he wasn't supposed to go to. He could guess where he ended up. This was native territory. They had never connected to the outside world, nor seen someone from Europe. Kevin knew he had to be careful. These people worshipped snakes, so Kevin is definitely an enemy to them. He slowly wandered around to find his way back. He was weirded out. It was an altar of a snake. Walking around the altar, he saw something that scared him. It was the largest snake pit that he had ever seen. He felt uncomfortable, like he was being watched from the forest. He was on sacred grounds. He had to be careful. Looking down the snake pit, he saw massive snakes. They were protecting something that was down there. That was clear. Kevin mustered up the courage to at least go down the snake pit to figure this out. The moment he tried going over the edge, he suddenly felt dizzy. He completely blacked out. It dawned on him that he was tranquilized. A blow dart had hit him right before he tried to go down the snake pit. Now he was a captive of the native people. He was put in a cage right beside the snake pit. Kevin realized that they probably had plans to sacrifice into the snakes. It looked like this ritual was going to take place that night. Kevin had to make sure he could escape and call for backup. He needed his backpack. He had a flare gun inside of his backpack that would definitely help him to get out of this precarious situation. The flare would alert his colleagues and a part of the military who was assisting them in clearing the pits. It was right beside his cage. He was so lucky that he could reach it. He quickly grabbed the flare gun out of the backpack and fired it. Backup quickly arrived. The military, accompanied by his colleagues, helped to get him out of this cage. They immediately closed down the area to clear the snake pit, something that the natives were worshipping. Kevin decided he was going to be the one that was going down there. They sedated the snakes and Kevin quickly ascended. Kevin gasped at what he had encountered. He even heard everyone around him gasp. Clearing out the snakes from the middle revealed something that no one had even expected. There was an enormous snake in the middle with a giant bulge. "No!" yelled the other workers. They warned their co-worker that the snake might act aggressively in this condition, as he is trying to defend himself if he feels threatened. So the workers came up with another solution. They decide that they will have to call somebody and try to get a hold of the nearest animal veterinarian. When the call with the vet ended, the worker that called in reacted in full shock. The vet says that the snake might be pregnant and is about to lay her eggs here, in the middle of the snake pit. To make sure this is the case, the vet has a dangerous task for the workers. She tasks the workers with trying to figure out where the bulge is located on the body. To do this, the snake needs to be on land and laid out a bit, while it is mostly curled up right now. Most of the workers hesitate if they should actually do this. What if the snake attacks them? The brave worker decides that he will locate himself at the most dangerous place to make sure the others are safe. Then 2 other brave workers decide that they will pull the snake out of the water and stretch the snake. The head is quite a bit away from the end of the tail, so the chances of it being able to bite them are slim, especially with how slow the snake was moving before. But they still don't want to take a risk, so they take extra safety measures. The 2 men try to gear themselves out with some of the toughest material they can find, while another worker joins them to distract the snake if necessary. With lead in their shoes, the 2 men grab the tail of the snake. All workers are holding their breath, hoping that everything goes according to plan. But there was nothing they had to be worried about, as the snake put up no fight whatsoever and let itself get stretched out almost fully. It is becoming more and more obvious that something is very wrong with this animal. Now the workers can see where the bulge is located on the body and call the vet back to report their finding. The workers are curious about what they have to do next, as they have never seen a snake laying her eggs before. But the vet's tone changes immediately when she hears where the bulge is. If the bulge was due to eggs, it would be located way further back on the body. The bulge is located at about the start of the stomach, meaning it is something that is probably unable to enter the snake's body. But what could there be inside this snake? The snake has obviously swallowed something it shouldn't have and probably required immediate surgery if it was to survive. But the workers didn't know what to do. So they asked the vet what they should do. Or should they bring the snake to her? But for the vet, to get to the worker's location was a challenge in itself, because she did not know the exact location of the snake and the workers. One of the workers proposed to pick her up. But there were still people in the company's warehouse who knew the worker's location exactly and how to get to the location. So the vet decided to visit the company's warehouse. After explaining the situation, a manager was willing to help her, and they were going to use his all-terrain jeep to traverse through the rainforest, which is never easy. The vet experiences one hell of a ride. The journey takes about 3 hours in total. A journey on which the vet had considered many times if the life of this snake was worth wasting a whole day plus extra on it. Other animals in need might have also needed his help, but she had made a decision that she was going to have to stick with. After 3 hours, she got to the snake, and when she was finally able to lay eyes on the snake, she knew instantly that it was worth all this effort. At the working site, the workers were also struggling with the time they had to wait for the doctor. The snake had no intention of staying at his current place. The workers did not know what to do next. Some workers wanted to just let it go, as that meant they could finally continue working. Why were they caring so much about a snake in the first place? Others had taken the doctor's words to heart and knew that if they let the snake go now, it would certainly die. Luckily for the snake and the doctor, this group was in the overwhelming majority. The snake was still moving very slowly, so the workers were able to block its paths back into the depths of the jungle with plates of sheet metal they had brought with them as supplies. But this measure had a big con. They could not encapsulate the snake fully, so they had to keep moving to keep blocking the snake's path. The animal was obviously getting irritated by this, and the workers had to be careful. The workers started to worry. The workers knew that they had to trust each other. It became a team effort where even the people who wanted to let the snake go help out. When the vet finally arrived at the site, the snake was still laying at the same place as where the workers kept him. But it became more and more obvious that this would not be the case for very long, as the snake had gotten really aggressive at this point. The snake did not even want to remove the sheet metal that the workers put there to hold the snake in place, but instantly targeted the workers that were holding the sheet metal. Many of the workers already had some close calls, but the fear for the snake increased to an all-time high now. Some workers dropped the metal and ran back. The vet had to act quickly and knew that the only chance here was if she could quickly sedate the snake. There was always a risk that the snake might not wake up from this, considering the condition it was described to be in. But seeing it so actively trying to attack the workers, the doctor had the confidence that it would survive the injection. The only thing left was approaching the snake with the tranquilizers. The vet waited for the snake to have his head turned in the other direction. After that, she slowly approached the snake and swiftly injected the sedative into the snake's lower body. Now they had to wait until the snake was fully sedated. Over the next couple of minutes, it slowed down more and more, and the vet was able to inject the snake with a couple of more sedatives which were necessary for a snake this size go completely out. After a while, the snake was completely out. Some workers dropped their knees from exhaustion, and their heart rate finally dropped back to normal a bit. They'd faced possible death numerous times by now, so they were relieved that they survived. Now the vet could finally turn her attention to the big bulge on the snake that she actually came for. She takes her surgery kit out of the big Jeep from the company's warehouse and sets it up to get to work. She can quickly confirm her suspicions that the object is stuck at the entrance to the snake's stomach by feeling its body. The object stuck in its body was something that the snake had swallowed and could not be broken down by the digestive system. But surgery always comes with a risk, especially if this surgery has to be done in the middle of the rainforest. But there is no other option available. With the greatest precision and care, the vet cuts open the snake along with the bulge, and after getting through the skin, muscle, and esophagus, the source of the bulge is finally revealed to everybody. Out of the snake came a small plastic box that baffled the vet at first, but the workers immediately knew what it was and realized what happened. But the workers also realized that this was not good news to the snake. This box was their cooler, in which they kept most of their perishables like meat. However, the meat in this one had gone bad, so they left it out of the truck because it smelled really bad. But they still couldn't figure out how the snake found this cooler, as they thought they put it away safely. The snake must have picked up the scent and thought it was prey, so it swallowed it as a whole. With the cooler removed, the vet quickly starts stitching up the snake again. It takes about a few minutes for the snake to wake up. After the snake was gone again in the forest, the vet had one thing left that she needed to do. She thanked the workers for their incredible effort to keep the snake and themselves safe. After this, she went back to the city where she has more patients waiting for her. To make sure the snake was okay, the vet did one last thing. She monitored the snake's behavior via the chip she planted. The snake is behaving completely normal, and the vet can confidently say that the operation has been a success. She saved the animal's life.